So in this video, we're going to talk about the chapter 4 of Sun Tzu's The Art of War. And it's titled Tactical Dispositions, and it focuses on the importance of strategic positioning and preparation before engaging in conflict. And basically, your preparation before you go into battle, well, what is the best way of you to achieve victory? What is your game plan? Now, I'm going to put this in context to performance, but also in context to business. It's applicable to everything that's performance related, whether it be sports, business, your work, your hobbies, whatever you want to try to excel at. Well, there are some things here that can help you. And in this chapter, or in this video, we are going to look at your preparation and how you can prepare the best way according to him. So, what are the key points and key takeaways from this chapter? Well, first of all, there's terrain analysis, where Sun Tzu, he emphasizes the significance of thoroughly assessing the terrain and understanding its advantages and disadvantages before engaging in battle. Now, if you want to put that in context to performance, well, you look at individuals and organizations, you have to analyze the terrain of your respective fields. That's market competition, competitor strength and weaknesses, available resources, like a qualitative overview of, well, what qualitative and quantitative overview of, well, what is it my opponent is really good at, what is he bad at, what is it we are going to face right now. If that is in Counter-Strike, where your opponents are really good at doing a B execute as a strength of theirs, but they have the same player in the same position every round, that's a thing, or they always have a lurker. Well, there's a strength and a weakness that you know. So if you have this thought out and have this in your game plan, you have a better time and an easier time planning for victory. Now, adaptability, that's a big thing here, where Sun Tzu, he advocates for it. Also in tactical disposition, so in the previous video, and he suggests that plans should be adjusted based on changes in circumstances or the actions of the opponent. Now, that means, well, if you have a game plan on your opponent, well, your opponent's going to have a game plan on you. So while you're in your battle, you have to be able to adapt while you play. So you can't just solely rely on the preparation. But the preparation is key to having to maybe get a good start and get the upper hand early on. And then when they start to adapt, you can adapt. But also just generally, even if you have a bad start, whatever the circumstances are, you need to be able to adapt to a game plan and don't just rigidly trust it like a religion. All right, that means that as Sun Tzu, he says here, like rigid adherence to a predefined strategy can be counterproductive. So that means, well, if you see a smoke in CT spawn and you see from the preparation that means they are always gonna go B, well, their game plan could tell them that, okay, they saw that as their own weakness. So that could be a counterproductive thing if you don't adapt, if you are going to stack B every single time they throw a CT smoke. And this is in Counter-Strike, of course. Number 3, engagement timing. Well, Sun Tzu, he highlights the importance of timing in engaging the enemy, advising that actions should be taken when conditions are most favorable for success. To compare this to performance, or put it in context to performance, it means that knowing when to seize opportunities or make decisive moves can be critical, and it requires an astute judgment and the ability to recognize optimal moments for action. Now, this could be a timing in an execute, this could be when to make a roster change, this could be when to buy the stock, when to sell the stock. So if you have good enough insights and you know and you have a good eye for timing, well, this is a really good thing to either have or a big thing that you need to learn. So that means, well, if you're doing an execute, should you run in with a flash on a timing? Do you hear them jumping somewhere so you can get a timing where they are not spotting you for a second and you can go out and capitalize on the timing, or whatever it may be? It's just the fact that you know that you don't have to do it the same time every time, but you can vary the timing and exploit the advantage that you get from the information that are available to you. That's a key thing. Number 4, flexibility in formation. So Sun Tzu, he discusses the need for flexibility in formation, suggesting that formations should be adopted to suit the specific circumstances of each engagement. Now, in context to performance, well, just military formations must be tailored to the terrain and the enemy's movement. Organizational structures and team compositions should be adaptable to different tasks and challenges, where flexibility allows for greater efficiency and effectiveness in achieving objectives. Now, one thing in organizations, for example, that's been very common, well, since the pandemic, it's been very common to have hybrid workplaces now, which means that you can work 3 days at home and 2 days at the office, or in that sense, well, then you have more flexibility for both the worker that makes your workers happier, and it and worker happiness often increases or gives you more productive and effective projects or effective work from them. And it was a mindset that needed to be changed, but also in context of, well, if you again, Counter-Strike is an easy example for these performance things because it's short 2-minute rounds that's going on, right? So if you do an execute and you see that they do something that you did not prepare for, or you can see that they are overstacked on a side, well, if you are flexible, like that's where you have to maybe make the call to rush straight to the other side, or maybe do some kind of different routing when getting into the site, so you can like on the dot, when you do the execute, instead of you just running whatever you've practiced, maybe do some kind of change because you have an information about where there could be a gap for you to exploit an advantage. And funnily enough, number 5 is exploiting advantages. Now, Sun Tzu advises that exploiting advantages in tactical dispositions such as superior positioning, intelligence, or morale to gain the upper hand over the enemy. Now, in context to performance, again, I've been a bit about it already in the previous 2 points, but I'll just sum it up real quick. Well, if you leverage your strengths and advantages, you will gain success. So it's like the example of the guy standing in the same position every round, or them always doing the same reaction to your moves and movements. But yeah, then again, I've been a bit over it. So let's talk about point number 6 instead. Deception and misdirection. Now, Sun Tzu suggests that using deception and misdirection to confuse and outmaneuver the enemy is a good way of gaining strategic advantage. Now, this in Counter-Strike, this is very basically faking, camouflaging. That concepts that if you don't know, well, faking is if you throw a lot of nades and maybe send 1 or 2 guys into a site, and then you have 2 or 3 other guys on the opposite side ready to react when the enemies over-rotate, so you get a free side. Or you do a camouflaging is basically if you throw the same smokes every single round to get a default, but then you have different strategies behind those smokes. So on Mirage, it could be a top mid and a window smoke every single round. Old meta, I know, but whatever. And then based on that, you still have 3 smokes and 5 mollies, and then you can run around and do strategies based on those grenades. That's going to be there every single round. Overall, Chapter 4 is underscoring the importance of strategic positioning, adaptability, and exploiting advantages in achieving victory. So the principles are applicable to, again, very everywhere where performance and competitions are central, and it helps you with gaining effective decision making and tactical execution.